Hi, it's Ursula from ursula-smith.com, and today I'm going to be doing a project with alcohol ink. And so, hope you like the project, and here it comes. And so I'm going to do this project again using glossy paper and alcohol inks. And I'm going to start out with a blue color. And I'm just going to color the background of the cardstock. So I'm going to put some alcohol ink onto my Tim Holtz applicator with a felt. You don't want to use the foam. You want to use the felt. And I'm just going to color the background. It's picking up some of the ink from my background on my mat, but that's fine, because we're going to go over this. So I did another video where I used stencils, and I determined that was my first experiment, and I determined that the less detailed stencils work better. So I'm using a stencil that looks like bubble wrap on my own, and then I'm just re-inking using the same color that I colored the background so that we can get a tone-on-tone look. And I'm just going to use the applicator to apply the same color ink through the stencil. It's actually mixing with some colors because I had already done this and didn't have the video turned on, so I have color on the stencil, and so it's kind of picking it up because it's not quite dry. But you get the idea. So kind of like a tone-on-tone look. But we could stop there if we wanted to, but we don't have to. Wait, there's more. We can take our stencil, and you can take a different stencil if you want. I'm just going to reuse the other one, or the same one, and then I'm going to just kind of off-center it a little bit. And the nice thing about alcohol ink is you don't have to worry quite as much. You can still get mud, but you don't have to worry quite as much about mixing colors. You know, if they're opposite on the color wheel and you do regular ink, you end up with this kind of icky brown mess. Same thing with paint. With alcohol ink, there's a little bit less of that. So I'm just going through and I'm just doing a different color. I'll do this quickly. You kind of get the idea. So my point is you can layer different colors and get cool backgrounds going. So again, you could leave it like that, or you could, actually we'll put that away. Again, you know, you could just keep adding more colors. But the other thing that you could do, which is kind of fun, is you can do dripping effects like you do with regular ink and paint. So you can, I'm just using red pepper up here. You put a line of ink going across the top. Actually, I'm going to put some, what is this, terracotta. And then if it's wet enough, if you get enough on there, you can just drip it straight. If it's not, you can add in some of the blending solution. Get it a little bit wetter. And then let it drip. And so that's kind of cool. You could do it, actually let's do it from the other side. Again, maybe do a couple of colors. Yeah. You gotta work fast with alcohol inks, that's the one thing, because they do dry very, very quickly, which is kind of good for people like me who have no patience. And so you could, you know, keep dripping, or the other thing that you can do is take the ink directly and just do spots of color. And if you layer it over other ink, you'll see it starts to react and kind of spread out. You can put more ink in the middle of your dots that you've already done. And then the other fun thing that you can do is drop the blending solution, and that will react as well. And it will open up the spaces and make them a little bit lighter. And then of course you can keep dripping, and you can just keep layering. So usually when it gets to about this point, now see a little bit, that did mix a little bit, you get a little bit of brown color, but it really isn't that bad. So when it starts getting, you know, a lot of liquid on there, I just kind of put it aside and let it dry. So I have one that I did before when I actually wasn't taping. And so again, you could leave it like that. It's actually a fun background, kind of almost abstract painterly. Or you could then come back over with a stencil and keep at it. So you could, again, just keep layering. So kind of fun. Alcohol inks are very, very cool. A lot of fun to play with. And again, I'm using glossy paper. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, because the inks stay vibrant on the glossy paper. If you do it on regular matte cardstock, the inks tend not to be quite as bright, and it's not nearly as fun and cool looking as it is on the glossy paper. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. See you next time.